All right, well, good morning, family. Hope you're all well. Good to see you. Thank you. Shawnee's prayer reminded me that of something really important when it comes to being in a place of worship and listening to someone speak, and that's, if I can couch it this way for you, as you hear what is said every week, just ask God, what is it that you're trying to say to me? If I can couch it that way for you, because not everything to you perhaps will resonate necessarily, but there may be one thing that really speaks to you, and that's God speaking to you in that space. So I want to encourage you to look for the answer to that question as we journey together. Well, so as you know, we started a new series last week entitled iQuit, and each week we are tackling one of 8 things that we need to quit in order to grow emotionally mature as believers and followers of Jesus. And each week in Cell, we will take a deep dive into the topic from Sabbath. And that content will be posted on Monday, fingers crossed, says Frank. And the content is written in such a way that even if you can't make Cell that week, you should be able to work through the Cell guide anyway as you reflect on the content from Sabbath. We are posting the recordings onto YouTube. Hopefully, it's all working at the moment. All right, so last week, we explored quitting our approval addiction. Can you remember the key things from last week? What do you remember? What did you learn from last week? Okay, so that's defining what approval addiction is. It's getting the approval of others. Yep, Priscilla? Okay, all right. So the motive behind the approval addiction is we don't we want other people's approval because we don't know who we are. Yeah. All right, nice. Anyone else? What did God say to you last week? Go, Peter. Right. So we don't make decisions because we're concerned about how other people think about our decisions. So we acquiesce to what they say and end up going with what they want, even though deep down inside, we're not happy with the decision that was made. Who can resonate with that today? Not my wife, not at all. All right, okay. Not your wife. Oh, okay. Sorry, what were you gonna say? Yeah, go ahead, Ray. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, seeking God's approval, leaning on and seeking His opinion rather than seeking other people's opinion. Huh? So what was the cure for approval addiction? Can you remember? What was the cure for approval addiction? Huh? Chocolate. All right, chocolate. Be real? Yeah. Yeah, Key had a particular idea that she was trying to bring across. Let God set your value. Yeah. And what's God's opinion of us? How does He value us? A lot, right? In His eyes, we are good enough. Yeah. We are precious, we are valuable, we are good enough. So good that Jesus died for us. Now, that's not to say that we are good in the sense that God is good, but in the sense that from God's perspective, hey, I value you enough to have died for you. All right. So last week, approval addiction. That's the thing we need to quit. The thing we need to quit is lying. All right. Because the thing with approval addiction is, in the process of pursuing other people's approval of you, you can end up lying. Right? You don't live the true you live the false you. And if you're living the false you are doing the L word. You are lying. you are not being true. So I want to walk through how you quit lying. Lying is the number one pandemic in the world. It is not COVID-19. It is lying. Lying is the number one pandemic in the world. Everyone lies. Politicians lie. Yeah. Doctors lie. Business people lie. I'm trying to make this relevant to our particular stage of life and our journey at the moment. Corporations lie. Right? People lie in their marriages. They lie in their friendships. They lie in their work environment. Even good, faithful, tithe-giving, Bible reading, daily praying, church-gathering Christians lie. It is the number one pandemic in our world today. For example, you see someone you don't like happens to walk in the front door, and they've got this big smile on their face, and you can see they're making a beeline towards you. And you're trying to find an escape. But it's too late. They're right in front of you. You've got an exit strategy. And before you know it, hi, how's it going? Good to see you. I can't stand your guts, but I'm just saying hello because it's the nice thing to do. Right? So even Christians lie in that space. Or you find yourself in cell group and you're wanting to share something very deep, a very personal struggle you may have. But when you go to share, what ends up coming out is a nicely packaged delivery of what you are struggling with rather than the raw stuff. So how do we lie? Well, people, they lie with their smiles. What was that? Oh, no, that's next. Okay, people lie with their smiles. They lie with their words. They lie with their silence. And they lie with their bodies. We spin half-truths. We withhold facts. Or we avoid awkward moments. Even when it comes to conflict, sometimes us as Christians can lie. Instead of dealing with the conflict by sharing our feelings, our anger, our sadness, our disappointment, out of fear of rocking the boat or getting into a fight or being misread or misinterpreted by the other person, we stay quiet or we avoid the topic, and in the process, we lie. Many Christians believe this mantra. Christians should keep the what? Christians should keep the peace and not make trouble. The problem is that most Christians do not understand that what we need to do is not keep peace, but make peace. But in order to make peace, sometimes we have to make trouble. And by making trouble, I mean engage in a confrontation or a conflict in order to speak truth and share truth so that the relationship can move from peacekeeping, hi, how are ya, niceties, to a deep level of friendship and relationship where we make peace with each other. Here's another famous mantra. What does that stand for? Notice the spaces in between and it's all capitalized. Can you remember? Jesus, others, you. What's the challenge with this mantra? What's this mantra saying to Christians? You are last. God is first, everyone else is second, and you are last. And if you're last, let's put it this way. In a race, who remembers who came last? Yeah, only the person who came last is the only one who remembers. Everyone else remembers who came first. And in the process of coming last, what are we doing? We are putting ourselves, we're essentially, in some way, shape, or form, we are living out that approval addiction. We are lying to ourselves and lying to others in the process. All right, what about this one? This is one that I got taught as a child growing up in my home. I wonder if anyone else was taught this one. Always remember, people are watching. Hey, shh, when you go to church, shh, you sit quietly, people are watching you. Right? Everyone's watching you. Yeah, put on the show. Here's the question. What other mantra, rule, have we been taught that affects our ability to speak truth? Anyone? Respect your elders? Yeah, okay, that's a good one. What's the consequence of living that out and not speaking truth? You can't challenge an elder, right? You can't challenge an elder who you believe is thinking wrong, acting wrong, saying wrong. Yeah, that's a good one. And you suppress truth in the process. Yeah. Any other mantras? That was a good one. Respect your elders. Huh? Respect your leaders. No, you should respect your leaders. I don't know why you would bring that up. Yeah, no, she's right. Especially the anointed ones, which are everyone else in the room. I'm not anointed. Preach, sister. Any other mantra? That's a good mantra. Good mantra. Respect your leaders. Another one? That's a good one. Don't question authority. My gosh, this is starting to sound like what we're going through right now. Anyway, let's keep going. Do not question authority. Do not question the experts. That's a good one. Man, you guys are good. I was sitting last night, during the week I was writing, thinking, what other mantras? I couldn't think of any. I could only come up with Joy. Don't question your boss. Don't challenge your boss. Yeah, that's a good one. When you say boss, you're not talking about your wife. Work boss, okay. Any other mantras? Any other family rules? Anything that was spoken to you growing up? Don't talk at the table. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one, eh? Do as I say, not as I do. Yeah. Is there another? Can you think of one more? Come on, Rob, you got to have one. Sorry? Yeah. Yeah, behave if anyone's visiting. That goes back to people are watching. Right? People are watching. All right, here's a question for you. I'm warming you up to the questions. Why do people lie? Why do we lie? Okay, nice. We don't know how to resolve conflict. That's a good one. Very good. Anything else? Why do we lie? Why do people lie? We don't want to hurt other people's feelings. How do I look in this dress? Do I look fat in this dress? That's not the dress. Huh? We want to blend in. We don't want to stand out, be different. Yeah, nice. Man, you guys are on fire today. Anything else? Why else do we lie? To protect ourselves. Yeah, excellent. To elevate your status. Yeah, nice. We're on a roll now. We're on fire. Good one. To not deal with consequences. Excellent. Go Ray and then Jared. So we don't follow Jesus. Okay, the guy went all spiritual on us. Okay, yeah, go Jared. All right, to get more influence. Yeah. Man, these are good. Any other thoughts? To win the battle. Yeah. Yep, to get the votes. Yep. Very good. Who do we lie to and in what ways? I'm not looking for any confessions. Let's keep this general, okay? Keep it very general. All right, don't start saying my spouse or anything like that. Let's just keep it general. Who do we lie to and in what ways? You lie to your boss? All right. Nathan Lamplow. So Nathan's boss, he's lying to you. All right, who else? What else? Who else do we lie to and in what ways? Our spouses, yeah. Ourselves, yeah. All right. Who else do we lie to? Our children? Yeah. I don't ever lie to my children. Our children are sitting here, woman. Oh my gosh. Wow. You could at least have asked them to get out of the room before you said that. Anyone else we lie to? Friends, authority, and God. So three general categories, right? We lie to God. we lie to others, and we lie to ourselves. Yeah? All right? Very good. How do we lie to God, by the way? How do you lie to God? Okay, by not being a true self. Yep. The promises we make. All right. Justifying our actions. Yeah, nice. Any other ways we lie to God? Withholding our needs. Right. So not being authentic, honest. Yeah, very good. How do we lie to ourselves? Well, that's the motivating reason, isn't it? We don't trust, huh? Yeah, there you go. Or I don't feel safe. Yeah. And the funny thing is that with God, you're always safe. Hey, how do you lie to yourself? In what ways would you lie to yourself? I'm not good enough. Yeah. Denial. Yeah. Denial of what? Whatever? Feeling? Thinking? Okay. Right. Yeah. Your part in the process. Okay, very good. I love it. Here's a warbly for you. Is all lying bad? In what situations would lying be appropriate if not commended? When you're trying to save someone else. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Think about a German during World War II. Yeah, and Nazis are at the door saying, I hear you have Jews. What's the German going to think? You know, I should tell the truth. Yeah, there you go. So it flips, huh? It flips. Yeah. I don't think Torek Tambu is the only historical president, but yeah. Yeah, good point. Anyone else? Any other thoughts? That's the only thing I could think of in terms of lying, where lying would be okay. Anyone? Any other thoughts? When your life is in jeopardy? Do you believe in Jesus? Yeah, nah, I don't believe in Jesus. Okay, all right. Okay, you can go then. He's sticking with that one. He's sticking with that one. Ah, you're thinking about that one. Okay. So you've stopped in the spiritual stuff now. But okay, all right. Fair enough. I like it. Yeah, I think, yeah. And you'd say, oh, wow, okay. That was truth right there. You give me an example, huh? What lying then do we need to quit? What lying do we need to quit? Let's see if I've got what I've got. When it comes to lying, this is Robert Feldman, a psychologist at the University of Massachusetts. He did a whole lot of research on this. When it comes to lying, we're trying not so much to impress other people, but to maintain a view of ourselves that is consistent with the way they would like us to be. Huh? That's the kind of lying we're talking about when we talk about quitting lying. The thing is that almost everyone on the planet works in public relations, yeah? We all work in public relations. We are all managing how the public relate to us, how they see us, how they perceive us, etc., etc. Most men and women have a public persona that is close to or very far from their private persona. You with me? Turn to your neighbor and say, I don't know anyone like that. I'm not even on, Ray's not even on social media, so it doesn't work for Ray. So basically the lying that we need to quit then is the lying that manages other people's perceptions of us. Because that's what keeps us from being fake. Here's a mantra. Sorry? Approval seeking. Yeah, leaks into it, builds on that idea because that's what approval seeking does. It's all part of this idea of managing other people's perceptions. So the lying that we need to stop is the lying that manages other people's perceptions of us. Here's a great mantra to keep in mind as you journey through this quitting of lying. The degree to which we live in truth is the degree to which we are free. Let me put it this way. The more we live in truth, the more free we are. The more we live in lies or falsehood, the more enslaved we are. Even if we live in truth in all areas but one, that one area where we're in bondage begins to leak out into bondage of other areas of our life. Make sense? Yeah. In Ephesians 6, Paul talks about the armor of God, and he encourages church folk and believers and those who love and follow Jesus to put on the armor of God in order to take on and defend ourselves against the attacks of the enemy. What's interesting is the piece of armor that Paul begins when he describes the armor in Ephesians 6. Anyone would have a crack at the first piece of armor Paul lists? Belt of truth. Why would Paul start with a belt of truth? Everything hinges on truth. You keep your pants on when you've got truth on. Truth keeps things together. Truth keeps things together. The more we live in truth, the more things stay together, the more no one sees our undies. All right. However, there's a little catch to that statement, and I want to come back to that later on. I had it on the screen the whole time. More in truth, the more things stay together. All right. So what we're going to do is I want to invite you to jump into a group. We need 6 groups. 1, 2, 5 groups. Used to be an accountant. Not anymore. Can't count now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 groups. So we need 5 groups, and we're going to do a little bit of a case study on your particular liar, pants on fire. So what your group needs to do, don't worry, there's no acting this week. That was last week. No acting this week. What we're going to do is summarize the story and then answer these questions. All right?
Hello. Oh, it is. Okay. So basically, Judah left and he went and met someone, and he had like 3 kids. And then for his firstborn, he got a wife for him, and his firstborn died because because he was like wicked. He was evil, so he died. And then he was like, "I'll give you my secondborn then." And he didn't want to make a baby, so he died. And then he was like, "Okay, go live with your dad until my third one grows up, and then
So
I'll
this
give
is
you him."
this is Judah
Yeah.
talking to his daughter-in-law to go live with her dad. All right?
And that he never gave his thirdborn because he was like, he's gonna die, so I'm just not gonna let him marry her. And so after a while, his wife, Judah's wife, died, and he was pretty sad. So he went to his friend, and his daughter-in-law was told that he was coming. So she dressed herself as a prostitute and sat at the entrance of the road. And
her father-in-law came
Yeah.
along.
Her father-in-law came along and was like, okay, what do I need to do to sleep with you? And she was like, give me some of your stuff and give me some of your goats. And he was like, okay. And so he slept with her, and then she left and like changed out of her prostitute clothes and became a normal person. And
Because prostitutes aren't normal.
yeah,
So carry on.
this story's whack. So after that, he was looking for the so Judah was looking for the prostitute, and he was like, I have to pay her, and they couldn't find her, and he was like, okay. So he went So they said he couldn't find her, and he's like, okay, fine. And so 3 months later, Judah was told that his daughter-in-law is guilty of prostitution and is now pregnant, and he said, bring her out so that they can burn her. Why do you want to burn her?
Wow.
And but she gave him a message and said, I'm pregnant by the man who owns his own stuff. So she showed him the rope and stick. Was it like the rope and the staff and the seal that he had? And yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Crazy story, huh? Crazy story. Thank you for not getting too graphic, because the Bible is quite graphic with that story. So I appreciate you removing the graphic details. All right. So what was the lie? What was the perception the liar was trying to manage? What possible areas of the liar's life are in bondage?
So there were 2 lies. Judah lied to her by saying that he would give her his third-born, and she lied to him by saying that she was a prostitute and not his daughter-in-law.
Yeah.
So weird.
Yeah. And what was the perception the liar was trying to manage?
Judah was trying to protect his son, I think, and she was trying to, I don't know why she lied.
Trying to get a child.
Yeah, trying to get a child, I think.
Yeah. To keep her legacy going as part of their culture. What about the last one? What possible areas of the liar's life are in bondage?
So he lost both of his sons, and then he just lost his wife before he went to her, and she couldn't have a son, so she couldn't have a child to carry on her legacy.
All right, very good. Big hand for Aaron and the team.
Our one was the story about Isaac, who was getting old. He's blind, and his wife Rebecca. They had 2 sons, Esau and Jacob. And what was it? Oh, Isaac called Esau to ask him to go and hunt for some food, to bring some food for him so he can bless him as he was getting old. But as the son Esau went out to hunt, Rebecca turned and organized for his, helped Jacob plan to prepare the food and for Jacob to get the blessing instead of Esau. So as Esau went out for hunting for food, the mother Rebecca helped Jacob get him organized with getting prepared to take the food so he can get the blessings from the father Isaac. So at the end, they tricked him. Isaac got tricked by Jacob, and he got the blessings instead of Esau. So that was the, yeah.
The animal skin, because Esau was hairy, and to make sure that he looked authentic, Esau.
Okay, very good. So tell us what was the lie and what was the perception the liar was trying to manage? And what area of bondage?
So the lie was Jacob trying to pretend that he is Esau. So he lied that he was not Jacob, he was Esau. So he lied about his identity. And what was the perception? The liar was trying to, I think his perception of his birth rank in the family, he wanted to be the first one because he was a second, so he did not deserve to receive the blessings.
So he didn't like being number 2?
No. And what was possible areas of the liars? So even though we did not cover the consequences, but that was the story ahead. But Jacob, we know he ended up running away, and Esau chasing him to kill because of that lies.
King David went on the roof of his palace. He saw a very attractive lady taking a bath on her roof.
As she does.
He decided to meet her. He got to know her in the biblical sense, and send her
biblical
home.
sense.
And then
It's a very spiritual moment, wasn't
it
it?
turned out that she was pregnant. So
Oh, that biblical sense.
he had a problem because she was also married to one of his top fighters who was off at war. And so he called for that guy to come home, and he tried to get him to go visit his wife while he was home. He said, no, I'm a loyal, faithful servant, and all the other men are sleeping in the field, so I'm going to sleep at the gate of your palace. And he couldn't get him to get home, so he tried to get him drunk and get him home, but he still wouldn't go home. So David's like, all right. So he gave him a letter, sent him back to the front of the battle with the letter. And in the letter, it was an order to send him to the front of the battle and then to pull back and allow him to die. So that happened. The guy died, and then David was like, well, okay, this wife, I'm going to comfort her. She can move in with me. So he took
What a
his
good guy.
poor friend's wife in, and she lived with him. And I think that was the end of the story in that chapter.
It's a good story.
She was pregnant, but her baby died.
Okay. So yeah, talk us through the lie, the perception of the lie I was trying to manage. What areas of bondage?
I think the first lie was he lied to himself. When he was walking on a roof, taking a morning stroll, he saw a lady, he said, oh, I need to have her. That was the first lie. The second lie was he sent for the husband to come back so he can cover the lie because he's already slept with her and she's pregnant now. So he thought, oh, I'll get him back and send him in so he can sleep with her and make it out he got her pregnant. But he got there first, so that's the second lie. What was the third lie?
He lied. He lied to the general of the army and the messenger. He lied to those guys when they came with their stuff.
Yes.
And then he tried to lie to all of Israel, basically by taking this woman in as his wife, and it wasn't too much time elapsed. So if the baby ended up being born, it could have just been like, oh, this baby was born a bit early. We just got married like 6 months ago, sort of thing. So yeah. The first lie, I think, actually was, it says that all the kings went to war in the spring and David stayed at home. So I'm not sure why he stayed at home, but I think there was something going on there, like a lie, because he wasn't supposed to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So idle hands are the devil's playthings, they say, and I think he was like scrolling Instagram instead of fighting for his people.
Nice.
Bit of R&R. So yeah, what was the second question?
The perception he was trying to manage.
Oh,
I think
Yeah.
you've already answered that.
he was trying to manage the people's perceptions because he would have been an unrighteous sort of king if he'd.
In what area of bondage?
I think he was bonded to, people's perceptions.
Of him.
He was cultural expectations. He was bonded to,
His own sexual
by
proclivities.
the first lie. There's the sex part, but there's also the first lie was like when he got her pregnant, he was then trying to cover up that mistake. So all the subsequent lies in the story came from trying to cover up the first lie. So he was in bondage to the lie ongoing. It just
ongoing.
kept getting bigger and bigger, and
Yeah.
it blew up his family in the end.
Yeah, very good. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate that.
I'll tell the story, then I'll pass it on. Okay, so we have this. The story started off with Joseph. He was off looking for his brothers who were out doing farming stuff, I guess. And he was asking and trying to find out where they were. They saw him in a distance, and then they decided they wanted to kill him, as good brothers do. But the oldest brother, Reuben, said, no, we can't kill him. Don't spill his blood. And they chucked him in a pit and took his clothes off. And then the other brothers decided it's much more better if we sell him and make a profit off him. So they sold him to some traders coming by. Yeah, it's the way to make some money. And then Reuben finds out, and he says, what are we going to do? And they decide to kill a goat and dip his coat in the blood of the goat. And then they take that back to their father and say, is this Joseph's? As good brothers do, want to find out the truth. And then the dad says, yes, it is. And then he's upset, and they can't console him for what's happened. And he thinks a wild beast has killed Joseph. And that's the
Very
story.
good. Good stuff. So what was the lie? What was the perception that's being managed? And what was the area of bondage?
Lies. Well, I mean, there's the lie at the end, but because we're focusing on Reuben, he had the intention of protecting Joseph and returning him to his father. So I think that was Reuben's intention. He didn't want to sort of go along with what his brothers were thinking. He didn't want to kill Joseph, and so he had this. He lied to his brothers about what his intention was, which was to take his brother back to
Yeah.
his father alive. So yeah, that was the lie. There was another lie at the end where the brothers lied to the father, but I'm not sure if we're focusing on that one. The perception of the liar was trying to manage. I think he was just trying to keep everyone happy, keep the peace, and he wasn't willing to push against what his brothers, like their agenda. And so, yeah, he's trying to manage the whole big brother thing, but at the same time, I'm on your side, you know. But like he doesn't agree with what their intentions are, and so that's why at the end when he comes back, he's like spewing because Joseph's been sold. So Charlotte, what possible areas of the liar's life are in bondage?
I don't know, but what did we agree?
Okay, running out of time. Come on.
Time's up.
Wow.
I don't know.
One area of bondage.
I think being the head outer of the family, so he had responsibility as to lead as the outer. To lead, I think being a leader, being the head of his sibling, the cultural line, the hierarchy, there's that trying to, because in the end he could have told the truth, but he didn't, so
Right.
he went along with it. So the bondage is that.
So he's in bondage to that, huh? Nice. All right.
We had Abram, and I was sharing with the guys that, funnily enough, this is the story that I'm supposed to be teaching in my year 1 class to the kids.
Ah.
And this part of the story, like, I don't really remember. So it basically goes, before Abraham becomes Abraham, God's already told him you'll be the father of many descendants and so on and so forth. And then he says, get up and go. So he gets up with his brother-in-law Lot,
Yeah.
nephew Lot, sorry.
Nephew.
His wife Sarai, all of their belongings, and they go. And they walk in faith, and they get there, and famine strikes, severe. So then they go to Egypt. And as they're getting towards Egypt, I guess Abraham thinks forward and goes, right, well, Pharaoh's going to say, you're beautiful, Sarai, and if he knows that you're my wife, then he'll kill me to take you. Yeah, I don't remember this part of the story. And he goes, okay, well, let's just say that I'm your brother. And so they do. They get into Egypt. Pharaoh figures out, yep, all right, brother, I'll treat you well, but I'm taking Sarai anyway. Take Sarai. And towards the end of that sort of story, Pharaoh, God brings down not a great time on Pharaoh. Is that right? Yeah. And then Pharaoh turns around and goes, why did you lie about it? Like, why didn't you just tell me the truth? So the lie, Abraham said that Sarai was his sister, not his wife.
Which technically it's sort of true because it was half sister. But anyway.
Yeah, that's me. I do not talk about that.
Welcome to the Bible. Welcome to the Bible. Yeah. Yeah, sorry, I interrupted you. Carry on. Ash.
So the perception of the liar that he was trying to manage, I guess, was trying to save himself. I don't know. And I think it's tricky because depends on how you perceive the story. It also depends how you teach the story or how you interpret it and so on. So we kind of had two views of he was trying to save himself, and then I put the little thought in because the overarching theme for our Bible lessons at the moment are God keeps his promises. And maybe in my head I'm going, well, Abraham didn't trust God, therefore he lied. But maybe I'm thinking too far into it. Anyway, he was trying to protect himself and possibly his wife, sister, whatever.
Nice. Thank you so much for sharing, everyone. That was fantastic, fantastic effort, fantastic work. Let me wrap this up because our projector is going nuts on us. What's the antidote to lying? Well, it comes in Jesus' statement. If you abide in my word, you are truly my disciples, and you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. So knowing the truth is what brings freedom. Knowing the truth is what brings freedom. So how do we bring freedom to those areas of our lives that are in bondage? How can we live in freedom, especially in our relationships? Well, by speaking the truth, but by speaking it in love. In other words, love should be the primary reason we speak truth. I'm speaking the truth because I love you, because I care deeply for you, and I care for our relationship, our friendship, etc., etc. So I need to speak the truth. In other words, one of the most unloving things that we can do is lie. One of the most unloving things we can do is lie. So, here are 4 key elements that we need to keep in mind and to practice as we practice speaking truth. Number 1, we must speak the truth respectfully. That means we've got to think carefully before we speak so that what we say is what we intended to say. So slow down and think carefully. Be polite. Take their feelings into account. The second thing we need to do is we need to speak truth honestly. We need to say what we truly think and feel without fudging it. No fudging. We're going to speak the truth clearly. So we need to be detailed. If we are wanting to ask a question rather than make a statement. And lastly, we need to speak the truth in a timely manner. So we need to pick a time that works for both the receiver and the transmitter, the speaker and the listener, where there's there's no stress, there's no tiredness, there's no distractions, there's no tension. All right, I'm going to skip this bit here and go here. I do have a warning for you when it comes to speaking the truth as you go through the process of quitting the lying. And it's put this way by Sandra Wilson. The truth sets us free, but at first makes us miserable. I have been there. I know what that's like. When you're wrestling with having to speak truth, whether it's a confession or whether it's I need to pull up somebody with regard to something, I would rather stay miserable than speak truth. How many feel me on that one? In relationships built on half-truths or untruths, a truth may actually be the beginning of the end. For some relationships, speaking the truth may bring an end to the relationship, period. That's the risk of speaking truth. You could finish the relationship in the process. You could also end the pretense or the pretending relationship, the half-truth relationship, and begin a deep, personal, very connected, very authentic relationship. How many of you prefer that? So seeking and speaking truth is not a comfortable exercise, but it is absolutely necessary. Jesus promises us that if we abide by his word, we will know the truth and the truth will set us free. Jesus' most powerful word to his disciples before he left was this: love one another just as I have loved you. So can I suggest to you, family, that one of the most loving things that you can do is to speak truth to your fellow brother or sister in Christ, and to do it respectfully, clearly, honestly, and timely. I'll give you a couple of minutes just to reflect on these questions. Share at the level at which you are comfortable to answer the question. Are you with me? All right? I'll give you 4 minutes to do that, and then we'll close with prayer. What challenged you? What area of your life do you tend to manage people's perceptions? What's one thing you can do to begin letting go of this tendency? Who are you struggling to speak truth to and love? What's a good first step to begin speaking truth and love to that person. All right? Give you 4 minutes to do that. On your master set, go.